Teresa Giudice Bravo Fashion, not food, at least for Melissa Gorga, that is. The Wednesday, January 3rd episode of The Real Housewives, New Jersey kicked off with a fight between Melissa and her husband, Joe Gorga. He wanted her to be more involved in his family restaurant. She pretty much wanted nothing to do with it. She tried to position her lack of interest in his business as her desire not to meddle, but he wasn't buying it, because it was obvious she just didn't want to deal. Honestly, though, based on how much she and Teresa Giudice fought every time they were in the restaurant together, it's hard to blame Melissa for wanting to take a step way back. Meanwhile, Margaret Josephs was busy planning her disco-themed birthday party and Teresa was shooting the cover for her book. Though the shoot went well, Teresa was nervous because she knew that the next time she saw her husband, Joe Giudice, she was going to expect an. Just for the record, Teresa viewed everything that happened legally as Joe's fault. Exes without benefits. Margaret met up with her ex-husband, Jan Josephs, to ask if he thought there would ever be a chance that the kids they'd shared would ever speak to her again. In case you missed it, they stopped speaking to her after she left the father for another man. Margaret said she was reflective upon turning 50 and she broke down in tears. "It's a shame," he said. "For a long time, you were a great mother to my kids. You had a great relationship with them, but you chose a different life," he added. He then admitted he wished she hadn't done what she'd done, but he didn't hold a grudge. "I absolutely take responsibility for the decisions I made," she cried to the camera. To him, she cried even more, insisting that he was still her family. "I'm never giving up," she said. "That's not me." Her ex-husband told her to do whatever she thought was best, but made no promises that they were going to come around. Exes, also without benefits, Dolores and Frank Catania, were also feeling reflective. Dolores admitted their timing was off, but insisted that the divorce saved the marriage. "You were not ready to settle down," she said. Frank then asked Dolores what she would say if her new boyfriend, David, was also unable to commit to her in the way that she wanted. She simply said that she would have to think about it. Frank told her she would never be alone because she'd always have him. He added that he regretted not appreciating her more when they were together. Dolores seemed to like hearing that. Danielle Staub's daughter Bravo, prostitution whore. Forever. Teresa made good on her promise to sit down with Danielle Staub's daughters and apologize for calling the mother a prostitution whore during an argument so many years ago. One of Danielle's daughters actually refused to meet with her, but the other did sit down with her. Teresa began by pointing out that this happened 10 years ago. "I really wanted to reach out to your mom and say sorry about what happened years ago, because it must have been hard for you guys," Teresa said, adding that during her time in jail, she had done some thinking. Danielle's daughter told Teresa that she still got random messages from people insisting that she was just like her mother. She said the names they called her were ones that she preferred not to repeat. "That was the beginning of a really rough time for my kids and I," Danielle added. "I never wanted to hurt you in any way. Yeah, I feel horrible," Teresa said. All in the family. Siggy flicker was still stinging from her argument with Margaret about Margaret mentioning Hitler. Siggy's dad advised her to just stay away from Margaret, while Margaret advised her own mother to stay away from Siggy. They would all be meeting up soon at the Gorga family restaurant bash, but if Siggy listened to her father, all would be well. Margaret apologizes to Siggy Bravo. Despite Melissa's lack of enthusiasm for the family restaurant, she did roll in for the opening party. After a brief spat with Teresa, Melissa got busy playing hostess. Margaret, Marge Sr., Danielle, Dolores, Frank, and Siggy all stopped in. Siggy did her best to avoid Margaret. Next up, Marge Sr. began to stir the pot about Siggy. Danielle took the bait and said she should get introduced to Siggy immediately. Siggy declined to be introduced though, and actually ran outside. "I'm not going to go walk across the room to meet somebody's mother when I don't even get along with the daughter," Siggy said to the camera. "I'm not going to go and be ambushed again. Tell us, do you think Siggy is overreacting to get breaking celebrity news, hot pics and more delivered straight to your inbox?"